Lieutenant Commander Jason Ward stood quietly at the edge of the Grand Hall on Station Itherex, his hands folded behind his back. He wore his formal Earth Alliance uniform, dark blue with silver stripes. Around him stood tall, elegant beings from 100 alien species. The scent of foreign spices and glowing flora hung in the air. Every corner of the hall shimmered with technology older than Earth's entire space program. Jason had been sent as a representative of Earth in the Galactic Accord, an interstellar peace and trade organization. Earth had joined only 2 years ago, still new and often overlooked by the older, more powerful civilizations. His mission was simple: deliver a ceremonial gift, shake hands, and return home. But things were never simple in deep space. A sudden hush fell over the room. Music that had been playing softly stopped. The lights dimmed slightly, and a glowing arch formed near the center of the hall. From that arch, she stepped forward, Princess Virelli of the Vihari dynasty. Her skin had a smooth, pearlescent sheen, somewhere between silver and soft lavender. Her tall frame was wrapped in ceremonial armor mixed with flowing silk, and her long white hair was braided with small metal beads that glinted under the light. Jason had seen her in photos before. But in person, she was something else. There was power in the way she walked, shoulders back, head high, eyes steady. Many beings in the room bowed their heads as she passed. Jason, unsure of the proper protocol, simply stood straight. She stopped in front of him. The room went silent again. Even the air felt still. Then she spoke, her voice clear and calm. "Our family have chosen us to be married, human." Jason blinked. His brain froze for a second, like a computer hit with too much data at once. I'm sorry, what?" She tilted her head slightly, her silver eyes narrowing. "The Earth Alliance and the Vihari High Council exchanged a formal peace bond. In our tradition, that is a sacred agreement. You are the son of your people's council. I am heir to mine. This bond is to be sealed with marriage." Jason looked around. A few diplomats from other species were watching, trying not to smile. Others looked uncomfortable. Back on Earth, the peace bond had been seen as a simple exchange of culture, a way to build trust. Gifts were shared. Traditions were studied. No one had mentioned marriage. He took a breath. "Princess Virelli," he said carefully, "I think there has been a misunderstanding. Earth doesn't—" "It is not a misunderstanding," she interrupted, her tone still calm but firm. "Your leaders signed the accord with blood marks, as is our custom. It was accepted without challenge. To withdraw now would dishonor both families." Jason felt heat rise in his neck. He wasn't angry, just overwhelmed. Earth had no idea what it had agreed to. He silently promised himself that whoever translated the treaty back home was going to get a very long lecture. Still, this wasn't just about him now. Backing out could risk everything: trade, peace, even war. He tried a different approach. "Your Highness, may I speak with you privately?" She paused, then nodded. With a gesture, a nearby servant opened a smaller door, and the two stepped into a quiet chamber with soft lighting and high walls covered in alien tapestries. Jason exhaled. Alone, he allowed himself to speak more freely. "Look, I'm not trying to insult your customs, but I didn't come here to get married. I came to deliver a peace gift and represent Earth." Virelli studied him for a long moment. "Do you think I wanted this?" she asked quietly. That surprised him. "You didn't?" She turned away for a moment, then looked back. "I was told this would bring peace between our worlds, that it would help me prove I am ready to lead. My mother believes this bond will make our people stronger. She said humans are emotional, loyal, brave. I thought..." Perhaps she was right. Jason didn't know what to say. He expected a proud alien warrior princess. He didn't expect someone who also felt trapped by duty. Varelli stepped closer, her expression softer now. You are not what I imagined, but I can see the weight you carry. We are both soldiers of peace, caught in our parents' plans. He nodded slowly. That's one way to put it. Then perhaps, she said, we don't have to fight each other. Maybe we can find a way to survive this together. Jason looked at her. Really looked this time. Not as an alien, not as a royal, just another person trying to navigate a life they didn't choose. He offered a small smile. Okay, princess, let's figure this out. Together. Outside, the hall filled with whispers and rumors. Some believed the human had accepted. Others said the bond would be broken. But inside that quiet chamber, two very different beings had taken the first step. Not into marriage, but into something more important. Understanding. The next morning, Jason Ward stood by the wide window of his guest chamber on Station Itherex. He watched alien ships fly past in silence. Some were shaped like spears, others like glowing rings. All of them moved with purpose, like they belonged here. He still felt like a visitor, a human in a world of giants. His conversation with Princess Varelli the night before had not left his mind. He wasn't sure what had surprised him more, the sudden marriage proposal or the fact that she hadn't wanted it either. In her eyes, he had seen something real, something honest. They were both stuck in something much bigger than them. A soft chime rang from the wall. A message. He pressed the screen. You are requested in the garden hall. Come prepared for official bonding. Trials, said a smooth voice. By order of the Vihari Council. Jason frowned. Bonding trials? He quickly dressed in his formal wear again, though his mind raced with questions. Hadn't they agreed to take things slow? To understand each other first? When he arrived at the garden hall, he was greeted by Varelli herself. Today, she wore less armor and more ceremonial cloth, blue with gold patterns. Her hair was tied high. She looked regal, calm, and unreadable. But when she saw Jason, something in her expression softened. You came, she said simply. You summoned me, he replied with a half-smile. What are bonding trials? Varelli looked toward a circle of stones in the middle of the garden. Before a royal bond can be made official, we must complete 3 rites. It shows we can work together. It also entertains the council. Jason sighed. Please don't say it's anything like a wedding dance. Varelli's eyes sparkled just a little. No dancing, only a test of the mind, body, and heart. He raised an eyebrow. Sounds like a full workout. Before she could answer, a group of robed Vihari elders arrived and took their seats in a semicircle. One of them stood. Begin the first trial. Test of the mind. The garden shifted. Metal tiles rose from the ground and formed a wide board like a chess table, but with symbols Jason didn't recognize. Varelli whispered, This is a logic game. You must outthink the board, not each other. Jason stared at the flashing symbols and moving pieces. He had no idea what the rules were. But he noticed patterns, shapes that repeated, moves that caused lights to blink. He tapped one tile. A column disappeared. He looked at Varelli. She had made the same move. By the 5th round, they were in sync. She began to trust his instincts. He began to trust her strategy. When the board dimmed and a soft chime rang out, the elder stood again. Passed. Jason let out a quiet breath of relief. 1 down, he muttered. Varelli led him to a second area, a circular platform surrounded by soft water mist. Long poles were laid at the center. Test of the body, she said. Let me guess. We have to fight? Yes, but not each. Other. You fight with me, side by side. Without warning, a tall, droid-like creature rose from the mist. It had spinning arms and glowing eyes. Jason grabbed a pole and jumped beside Varelli. The creature swung first. Varelli blocked. Jason followed up with a strike to its legs. It twisted and came at them again, faster, stronger. They moved together, backing each other up, covering blind spots. It was like a dance, fast, careful, full of sparks and sweat. Jason had never fought like this before, with trust, with rhythm. After several tense minutes, the creature powered down and sank back into the mist. The crowd of elders gave a slow clap. Another test passed. Jason was catching his breath when Varelli handed him a cloth to wipe his face. "You fight with purpose," she said, "not just skill." "I just didn't want either of us to lose," he replied. Their eyes met. Neither looked away. The final trial was simple, but heavy. A single question. An elder stood before them and asked, "Why do you wish to bond?" Jason's mind raced. He didn't want to lie, but saying "I don't" might destroy the fragile respect they had built. Varelli answered first. "I was born into duty. I was raised to serve peace, even when I do not understand it. I did not expect to find understanding in him, but I did. He listens. He chooses with care. I will not pretend to love him, but I will walk beside him with choice, not force." Jason felt every word settle in his chest. He stepped forward. "I didn't ask for this bond, and I know I'm not part of your world. But in the middle of all this, I found someone who didn't treat me like a tool. She fought with me, trusted me, stood beside me. That matters, and maybe that's enough, for now." The elder nodded once. No one clapped, no one spoke. But something had changed in the air. Later, as the sun, or whatever passed for it on the station, dimmed into evening light, Jason and Varelli sat alone near the garden's edge. "3 trials," Jason said. "That was more than a first date." Varelli gave the smallest smile. "The council sees us as bonded now, but we have time. Nothing must happen yet. You may return to Earth if you wish." He looked at the stars. "Maybe, but I think I'd rather stay a little longer. We still have a lot to learn about each other." She nodded, quiet, thoughtful. In the cold heart of space between duty and destiny, 2 lives had started to cross, not by command, but by choice. A week had passed since the bonding trials. Jason Ward had started to settle into a strange routine on Station Itherex. He trained daily with Princess Varelli, joined diplomatic meetings, and learned more about the Vihari way of life. Everything still felt alien, but not in a bad way, just unfamiliar. Varelli had grown quieter these days, not distant, but thoughtful. She asked questions about Earth, what oceans felt like, why humans laughed so much, what it meant to fall. In love without arrangement. Jason did his best to explain, even when he didn't understand everything himself, but peace never lasted long in space. One morning, while reviewing mission reports in the guest wing, Jason received a sudden alert. Urgent. Launch order approved. Vessel Starbridge 7 prepped for immediate travel. Human Vihari diplomatic pair required on board. Jason blinked. No one had mentioned any launch today. Before he could respond, Varelli entered his chamber, already in light armor. "We're being sent to Arthan Prime," she said, voice sharp. "Emergency peace talks, minor skirmishes along the Vihari border." Jason stood quickly. "Why us?" "The council wants to show strength and unity. We are the symbol of the bond." They were on the ship within the hour. The Starbridge 7 was sleek and fast, a diplomatic cruiser with smooth walls, golden lights, and a humming core that powered gravity and shields. Jason had been on many ships before, but this one felt different, clean, quiet, too quiet. Only a small crew joined them, 3 Vihari officers and 2 tech specialists. Jason didn't recognize any of them. Something didn't feel right. As the ship left Station Etherics and entered hyperspace, Jason walked through the corridors with Varelli. The air felt thicker than usual. The lights flickered once, only for a second. "I've seen that flicker before," Jason muttered. "Could be nothing," Varelli replied, but she didn't sound convinced. Later, during their dinner in the main chamber, the ship suddenly shook, hard. Jason dropped his drink as alarms began to blare. "Warning, core malfunction. Power failure. In Sector 4. "That's the engine deck," Varelli said, already rising. "Come with me." They rushed to the lower level. 2 Vihari crew members were already there, trying to stabilize the systems. Sparks flew from the wall panels. Jason ran diagnostics at the console. His hands flew across the controls. "This wasn't a random failure," he said after a few seconds. "Look, power lines were rerouted. Someone tampered with the controls from the inside." "Sabotage," Varelli said coldly. Then the lights went completely dark. Only red emergency. Lights remained. A robotic voice echoed. "Critical failure. Artificial gravity disengaged. Reactor unstable." The floor shifted. Jason floated upward as the ship's core began to hum dangerously. Varelli grabbed a support bar with one hand and reached for Jason with the other. He caught it just in time. "If the reactor goes, we won't even leave dust," he said through clenched teeth. "Then we must stop it," she replied. "Together." In the next 10 minutes, they worked fast. Jason handled the controls while Varelli opened sealed doors with emergency overrides. They reached the core room where a glowing cylinder pulsed with unstable energy. Jason began shutting down the systems, but someone else had locked the codes. "I need more time," he said. Varelli drew her short blade and moved toward the next chamber, where the power relay center was. She found one of the crew members already inside, his fingers on a hidden device. "Step away from that panel," she ordered. The man turned, surprised, but not scared. "The bond is a lie," he said. "Your people will fall. Earth will take more than it deserves." He lunged, but Varelli was faster. She blocked his attack, swept his legs, and knocked him out in a few quick moves. She pulled the device from his belt and returned to Jason. "Try this," she said. Jason plugged it into the control panel. It worked. The reactor stabilized. Lights returned, and gravity came back on suddenly, dropping both of them to the ground. "Oof," Jason groaned. "Well, that's one way to fix gravity." Varelli laughed softly. Just for a second. Later, back in their private quarters, they sat side by side, both exhausted. "Someone didn't want us to succeed," Jason said. "They wanted the ship to explode," Varelli added. "Our deaths would have ended the bond quietly." Jason nodded. "Who do you think sent that crew member?" "Could be one of the factions still against the Alliance, or someone within the Vihari Council who fears change." Jason leaned back against the wall. "This bond is more dangerous than I thought." "And more important," Varelli replied. "Look how quickly some were willing to kill for it." There was silence for a moment. "You didn't hesitate to fight," she added. "You could have saved yourself." "You didn't leave me either," he replied. Their eyes met. For the first time, the bond wasn't just a political trap. It was becoming a shield they both held, a connection neither expected but both needed. Outside the ship, stars passed silently. The galaxy remained cold and wide. But inside that small cruiser, a new kind of alliance was starting to grow, not just between two worlds, but between two souls. After the sabotage on Starbridge 7, Jason and Princess Varelli returned to Station Etherics. The council held urgent meetings, but the atmosphere was tense and cold. Many on the station whispered that their union might be more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Jason felt the weight of it all like a heavy chain around his neck. The peace bond was no longer just a political tool. It had become a key to something far bigger, something hidden in the past of the Vihari people. One evening, Varelli invited Jason to a private chamber deep within the palace. The room was filled with ancient tapestries and glowing symbols. In the center stood a tall metal box with strange markings. "This is the archive of the Zaruk," Varelli said softly. "Our ancestors. They were a powerful species, long extinct now. But their blood runs in my veins." Jason stepped closer, curious. "Extinct? What happened to them?" Varelli's eyes darkened. "They were wiped out in a war before recorded. History. Some say it was a betrayal from within. Others believe the galaxy itself turned against them. Their bloodline survived only through careful engineering and preservation in certain families, like mine." Jason looked at her in surprise. "You mean you have their DNA?" She nodded. "Yes. My family carries traits from the Zaruk: enhanced strength, speed, and, most importantly, the ability to activate latent powers when bonded with the right partner." Jason's mind raced. "A right partner?" "Yes. The bond between Vihari and another species, especially humans, could awaken abilities we have only dreamed of. It's why this marriage means more than politics. It could change the balance of power in the galaxy." Jason felt a chill. This was no longer about peace talks or ceremonies. It was about survival and power. Suddenly, the door hissed open. A figure stepped inside. A Vihari elder named Thalin. His eyes were cold, his voice sharp. "Princess, you risk too much. Sharing this knowledge with a human could be dangerous." Varelli stepped between Jason and Thalin. "He is part of this bond now. He deserves the truth," Thalin scoffed. "You are blinded by hope. The Council will not allow this union to give humans an advantage." Jason felt the tension rise. The elder's warning was clear. "Then why tell me?" Jason asked quietly. "Because you need to understand what you face," Varelli answered. "And because I trust you." Over the next days, Jason and Varelli delved into the Zaruk archives. They uncovered old records, maps of lost worlds, writings about incredible technology, and most importantly, genetic data that could alter the very nature of life. Jason realized how little humanity knew about the galaxy's history. Earth was still young in space, while these ancient secrets had shaped countless civilizations. Varelli confided one night, "My people fear what this bond could do. Some want to use it to control others. Some want to destroy it. I want to protect it." Jason understood her burden. "Then we need to find a way to keep this bond safe. From everyone." She smiled faintly. "Together." But danger was never far. One evening, as they returned to their quarters, Jason noticed shadows moving behind the walls. A quiet whisper warned of an assassin waiting to strike. He grabbed Varelli's arm. "We're not safe here," she nodded. "Then we leave." "Now!" They escaped through secret passages, racing through the palace's hidden tunnels. The air was cool and damp, and their footsteps echoed as they moved. Ahead, a figure blocked their way, masked, armed with silent weapons. Jason stepped forward, ready to protect Varelli. The attacker lunged. Jason dodged, pulling Varelli behind. "Him!" She drew her blade and spun, striking with precision. The attacker stumbled but recovered quickly. Jason grabbed a broken pipe and swung it. The attacker blocked with a short blade, then disappeared into the shadows. Varelli breathed hard. "This was no random attack," she said. "Someone wants to end this bond by any means." Jason clenched his fists. "Then we fight. Not just for ourselves, but for the future of both our worlds." That night, Jason and Varelli made a silent promise. The secret of the Zaruk bloodline was no longer just a legend. It was a power that could unite or destroy, and only they could decide its fate. The halls of the Galactic Accord's High Council were filled with tension. Every important being from dozens of worlds had gathered in the great chamber, a massive room carved from living crystal that shimmered with colors like a rainbow. At the center stood Jason Ward and Princess Varelli side by side. The fate of their bond, and perhaps the future of human-Vahari relations, was about to be decided. The trial of wills was a tradition unlike any other. It was a test of mind, body, and spirit. To pass meant that the High Council recognized their union as true and strong. To fail meant disgrace and potentially the collapse of peace between their peoples. Jason's heart pounded beneath his uniform. The weight of 1,000 eyes pressed on him. Beside him, Varelli's face was calm, but Jason knew the fire beneath. She had been preparing for this moment all her life. The trial began with the test of mind. A holographic puzzle floated between them, twisting shapes and alien symbols that shifted constantly. They had to solve it together, combining their logic and intuition. Jason's human creativity clashed with Varelli's precise calculation. At first, their ideas didn't match. They argued silently with hand gestures and frowns, trying to find a way to connect their thinking. After tense moments, Jason saw a pattern. An unexpected shortcut. He pointed it out. Varelli's eyes widened, then she smiled briefly. They worked as one. When the puzzle locked into place, the council murmured, in approval. Next was the test of body. The floor opened beneath them, revealing a circular arena bathed in soft light. The arena's walls showed images of past champions, warriors and diplomats who had proven their strength and courage. A series of challenges awaited them. First came the obstacle course, a test of speed and agility. Jason was surprised by how physically demanding it was. Varelli moved with grace and power, helping him over hurdles and through narrow passages. Jason's strength surprised her when he lifted a heavy gate open. Together, they finished the course. Then came a duel. Not against each other, but against a mechanical opponent programmed to challenge them. They fought back to back. Jason used his human instincts and quick reflexes, while Varelli displayed expert combat skills. The machine was fast, but their teamwork was faster. When the mechanical opponent fell, the crowd cheered softly. Finally, the test of heart. They were led to a quiet room, soft music playing. The council's elder stepped forward. Now, speak your truth. Why do you wish this bond to stand? Varelli spoke first. I was raised to lead, to serve my people. This bond was arranged, yes, but in Jason, I have found strength beyond duty. He listens. He understands. I will stand with him, not because I must, but because I choose to. Jason took a deep breath. This bond started as a command. I did not ask for it. But through our trials, I have seen the courage in Varelli, not just as a warrior, but as a person. Together, we can build a future that honors both our worlds. Room was silent for a moment. Then the High Council elder nodded. Your words are honest. Your trials are past. The bond is accepted. The chamber erupted in applause. Some were surprised, others hopeful. Later, as the crowd dispersed, Varelli pulled Jason aside. You surprised them, and me. Jason smiled. Maybe we both surprised ourselves. The council will watch us closely now, she said. But this is our chance. Jason looked out over the crystal chamber. Then let's not waste it. That night, beneath the stars seen through the great windows, they sat quietly. Two souls from different worlds, joined by fate, now bound by choice. And the galaxy waited. 3 weeks had passed since Jason Ward and Princess Varelli completed the trial of wills. The galaxy was no longer silent. News of their success had spread across every known system. Human and Vahari ambassadors received messages of support, confusion, fear, and excitement. Some worlds saw the bond as a symbol of peace. Others saw it as the beginning of a dangerous alliance. But inside the Vihari Palace on Station Itherex, none of that mattered at the moment. Jason stood before a tall mirror, adjusting the formal robe gifted to him by the Vihari Council. It was dark blue with silver threads, the colors of both Earth and Vihari. He still didn't feel like royalty, but today he had to try. There was a soft knock. He turned. Varelli stood in the doorway, dressed in ceremonial armor lined with soft silk. Her silver skin glowed under the light, but more than her appearance, it was her expression that caught Jason's attention. Calm, strong, but also gentle. "Are you ready?" she asked. Jason smiled slightly. "Still figuring out how to breathe in this robe, but yes, I'm ready." She walked to his side and looked into the mirror with him. "Today is not a wedding, not like your people have. This is a joining of paths, a public step forward." Jason nodded. "It may not be love yet, but it's something stronger than duty now." She looked at him, her voice soft. "It is trust." The ceremony took place in the Crystal Dome, the largest open hall on the station. Delegates from over 50 worlds were present. The floor was smooth like glass, and the ceiling showed the stars above, real-time views from outside the station. As Jason and Varelli walked into the center, a quiet wave moved through the crowd. There were no long speeches, no music, just a single voice, the High Council's elder. "Do you, Jason Ward of Earth, walk forward in unity with the Vihari heir by will and not by force?" Jason took a deep breath. "I do." "Do you, Princess Varelli of the Vihari, walk beside this human in choice and not in command?" "I do." "Then let the stars witness your bond." Jason and Varelli placed their palms together. A soft golden light rose between them, a symbol from ancient Vihari tradition. It didn't burn, it warmed, as if the galaxy itself approved. The hall remained quiet. But the silence wasn't cold. It was filled with meaning. After the ceremony, they returned to their private chamber. Varelli removed her ceremonial cloak and sat near the window, looking out at the stars. Jason joined her. "That was the first time in weeks no one was shouting or trying to kill us," he joked. She smiled softly. "Yes, a peaceful moment." They sat for a while without speaking, just watching the stars. Then Jason broke the silence. "You know, back on Earth, we have a saying, 'Home is where the heart is.' I never understood it fully, but maybe I do now." Varelli looked at him with curiosity. "And where is your heart now?" He smiled and looked out the window again. "Wherever we go next." She nodded slowly. "I have been trained to fight wars, to command fleets, but you've shown me a different kind of strength." Jason glanced at her. "And you've shown me that trust doesn't come from knowing someone's species. It comes from standing beside them, even when it's hard." She leaned back and let out a breath. "Many still doubt us. Some fear what we might become together. Then let's give them a reason to believe." In the days that followed, Jason and Varelli became a symbol of something new, not a forced alliance, not a cold political move, but a chosen path, one that others started to follow. On distant colonies, human and alien scientists began new joint missions. On neutral moons, schools were opened where species studied each other's history and culture. Peace was not perfect. There were still enemies, still shadows. But the bond had done what no treaty had ever managed. It had started a new age. One night, as the station circled a dying red star, Jason and Varelli walked quietly through the royal garden. "Do you regret any of it?" she asked. He looked up at the stars. "No, it was strange, unexpected, even scary. But it led me to you, and I wouldn't trade that for anything." She reached for his hand. Then we walk forward, together. And so the human and the alien princess stepped into the unknown future, not as tools of their families, not as soldiers of peace, but as true partners. Their bond, once a mistake of translation, had become a story shared across the stars. Story of two souls who were told to stand together, but who chose to do it with their own hearts. Together.